Creativity is romantic. It's the sacred spark, the divine muse, the fire that dances behind the eyes of the artist. We celebrate it. We chase it. We idolize those who seem to have mastered it. But here's the catch. The more we try to be creative, the less creative we often feel. The harder we reach for originality, the more derivative our work becomes. The moment we try to force the muse to speak, she disappears. This is the paradox of being creative. You have to stop trying in order to begin creating. The 20th century author Brenda Euland once wrote, "Inspiration does not come like a bolt, nor is it kinetic, energetic striving, but it comes into us slowly and quietly and all the time." In other words, creativity is less like a faucet we turn on and more like rain. It comes when it wants to, and only if we're still long enough to notice. Yet the world we live in demands the opposite. Produce faster, post daily, ship the idea, monetize your process. Art becomes content becomes currency, and the creative process becomes a productivity hack. But art is not efficient. Original thought is not a clean assembly line. And true creativity often emerges not from clarity, but from confusion, boredom, and the willingness to sit in the unknown. The creative mind is not always a happy mind. Virginia Woolf, David Foster Wallace, Sylvia Plath, Kurt Cobain. These names echo brilliance and also tragedy. We love their work, but we forget the cost, because being creative often requires you to be at odds with yourself, your culture, even your sanity. That's the paradox. To make something new, you often have to destroy something old, including your beliefs, your routine, your sense of safety. The painter destroys the blank canvas. The writer kills silence with words. The musician breaks the stillness with sound. Every act of creativity is a quiet form of violence against what is, in order to make space for what might be. And the really strange part? To be creative, you have to let go of control, but also somehow discipline yourself into showing up every day. You must be spontaneous, yet structured, free, yet focused. You must trust your instincts, and then edit them ruthlessly. So which is it? Chaos or order? Flow or force? Magic or method? The answer, of course, is both. Because creativity lives in the collision, in the tension between trying and not trying, in the in-between space where you're not quite sure if what you're doing is genius or garbage. Consider the poet who stares at a blank page for hours, only to scribble 3 disjointed lines and call it a day, or the songwriter who mumbles nonsense into a voice memo, only to find it has the seed of something real, or the filmmaker who shoots a scene they later cut, only to realize it gave them the insight to rewrite the whole story. This is the dance of creativity. You move, you falter, you doubt, you trust. The philosopher Alan Watts said, "Trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth." In the same way, trying to define your creativity can make it vanish. The more you grasp it, the more it slips through your fingers. So how do we live with this paradox? One approach is to stop treating creativity like a noun, something we are, and start treating it like a verb, something we do. Not a fixed identity, but a practice. Not a gift from the gods, but a muscle we stretch. Show up. Make something ugly. Make something pointless. Repeat. The creative life is not a straight line. It's a spiral. You circle the same fears, the same doubts, the same blocks, but each time you come around, you're slightly higher, slightly wiser, slightly more yourself. And maybe that's the point, because ultimately, creativity is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you already are. That's what makes it hard, and that's what makes it worth it. In ancient Taoist philosophy, there's a concept called Wu Wei, translated loosely as effortless action or non-doing. It's the idea that the best way to act is to not force anything. Water does not try to flow downhill. It just does. The same goes for creativity. When we let go of the outcome, when we surrender the ego that wants to be brilliant, when we stop obsessing over whether it's good enough or original enough or marketable enough, something deeper emerges, something honest, something human. Ironically, you become most creative when you stop trying to be creative. And yet, you still have to try. You have to build the habit, face the blank page, trust the chaos. You have to be willing to begin again, and again, and again. So if you're stuck, good. That's where creativity lives. Not in the comfort, but in the friction. Not in the answers, but in the questions. Not in the polished product, but in the messy middle. Maybe the real paradox is this. You can't be creative unless you're willing to be a fool. You have to risk failure, risk irrelevance, risk saying something nobody cares about. But if you can do that, if you can hold the tension without needing to resolve it, then, once in a while, something astonishing comes through. And it will feel less like you made it, and more like it made you. If this video sparked something in you, consider subscribing. We explore the strange beauty of thinking differently, one paradox at a time. And if you know someone stuck in the creative fog, send this their way. Maybe it's exactly what they need to hear.